that is why we have ancestors and children, kings and queens, because the children are supposed to learn from the ancestors and continue the work of the ancestors. And with that, we have constructed this event to highlight the work of people who are building on the work of Nana Amos Wilson. And if you are listening to the message of Nana Amos Wilson at the beginning, it was on the developmental psychology of the black child. But within the message, he was providing analysis and breakdown of the political and economic conditions of African people, because education is only relevant in as much as we understand our political and economic conditions. And so our first presentation today is going to engage in such an analysis. We are hearing that Africa is on the rise, that so many of the fastest growing economies on the planet Earth are on the African continent, and that Africa is on the dawn of a new horizon of prosperity, and so on and so forth. But who has given us this message, kings and queens? What is the reality on the ground? Is this a reality that is being set by African people in the interest of African people? And if not, how can we take back control of that narrative and develop a narrative in our own interest? And there is no one better to break this down for us, kings and queens, than the spiritual leader of the Alkebu-Lan Revivalist movement. He goes by the name of Brother Leader Mbandaka. Brother Leader, we're going to bring you through now. All right. Tenamwari. Giving thanks and praises. All right, we like it. We like this. We like the setup. The lighting is good, so everything is blessed. Greetings and welcome, Brother Leader Mbandaka.
Tenamwari, greetings to you, Brother ShakaRa. Giving thanks and praises. Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. Tenamwari.
Tenamwari, Brother Leader. Before you go into the presentation, I just want to ask you to give the viewers a brief explanation in terms of the significance of Nana Amos Wilson to you and your development as a nationalist pan-Africanist.
Tenamwari, well, that's a whole presentation in itself. As I'm sure you realize, Brother ShakaRa, and you've done an excellent job so far from what I've seen. Baba Amos Wilson, as many of us will know, was a warrior scholar and a powerful liberation activist before he was a psychologist, I think a clinical and social psychologist who did a great deal of work and pronouncements in education psychology as well. I have been blessed to have been following his works since at least the mid-80s, the mid-1980s. And first and foremost, I listened to his voice and listened to his analysis and breakdown of the developmental psychology of the black child before I even knew who he was. Someone gave me a tape of this man, and just I remember the voice itself, just the power of the voice and the spirit. There was something about the spirit of Baba Amos Wilson that connected with me. It exuded sincerity, tenacity, profundity in terms of his love for his people. My impression was of a man with a great deal of penetrative understanding and analysis of the conditions of our people, particularly as it related to the development of our children and the development of our children's education. And I think at the time, the thing that struck me more than anything else was that studies had been done. And this is now moving from listening to the tape, Developmental Psychology of the Black Child, to actually buying the book, and then later on buying, also purchasing a copy of the Awakening the Natural Genius of Black Children, listening to further tapes of Baba Amos Wilson. And one of the things that struck me more than anything else was the information he brought to us about the extensive global study that had been done on the precocity of children, of African children compared to Asian children, compared to European children, Chinese children, and not just African children in Africa or Asian children in Asia, but African children and children of other racial groups in their respective diasporas. And that consistently, these studies showed that African children had greater precocity at a very young age than those of the Asian and European counterparts. That was a revelation for me. Not just the fact of it, but the fact that the extensive studies had been done to prove evidentially that this was the case. And so one has to conclude from that the oppression of African people, the underdevelopment of African people in the spheres, whether in the sphere of economics, education, science and technology, health care, any sphere of life, is deliberate and intentional. One has to, that's the only logical conclusion that one can actually come to. So I know I'm not doing a major presentation on Amos Wilson. So let me summarize by saying that I continue to follow his works, and I know that you have you've highlighted some of his book titles of the powerful, awesome volume of work that he has done. The internet and YouTube is awash with his speeches and his commentaries, and it's there for brothers and sisters to access. And it just again they are testimony to the tremendous commitment that he made to informing our people, inspiring our people, mobilizing our people. And I think one of the things that certainly has always rested favorably with me was his uncompromising approach, yes, African-centered, nationalist, pan-Africanist. And also, you're always winning for me when you credit the work and the legacy of the most eminent prophet and king, His Excellency Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and Baba Amos Wilson certainly did that. His passing in 1995, I do remember it very, very well. I remember where I was when I got the news. Myself and two of the leadership, including my queen, Sister Kai, were actually at a printer's, Brother Buzz, who had a printing service, and we went to get some stuff printed. And when we arrived, he said, "Have you heard the news about Amos Wilson?" We said, "No." And he said he passed, and we were just dumbstruck. You know, we were just absolutely dumbstruck. So we hail him, we honor him,
sure,
we lift up his spirit, and we say, may his car continue to rise in power, rise and rise and rise on the wings of Ma'at, as we express confidence in the fact that he had a favorable judgment in the Council of Asar. His spirit remains in the universe, traversing the universe, and waiting for us to pour libation. So we continue to pour libation to him and invite him always to have a healthy drink with us, so we can continue to feed his spirit and be fed by his spirit, so we can in turn be empowered by his continued spirit and his continued work and his continued legacy. Continue to rise in power, Baba Amos Wilson. Africa, to the God of Africa be the glory. Tendai
Mwari, brother leader. Give thanks for that answer. Right, we're going to get into the presentation. Just waiting for the presentation to arise, and we'll get into it properly. Giving thanks. Right, brother leader. Oh, 1 second. We'll just slight technical. Hold on. Let's wait for this thing to show up properly. And at that point, you can take it away, brother leader. Right, kings and queens, brother leader will present, and following the presentation, you'll be given the opportunity to ask questions. Yeah, you can either type your questions in the chat, or once he's complete, I will share the link live, or you can come live and interact with brother leader Mbandaka. Following that, we're going to hear from Queen TAESE. Remember to get your notepad and your pen ready, because that's going to be a very practical workshop. Nana Amos Wilson was a great believer in practical workshops. Yeah, so you're going to get some advice in terms of instituting and implementing African-centered education in your home right now with Queen TAESE. So do stay tuned for that. Get your pen and paper ready. Right, 1 second. Okay, yeah, and following that, we're going to speak to Baba SABABU, who is the co-founder of African World Info Systems. Right, brother leader, it's your time. Take it away. Tendai Mwari.
Oh, Tendai Mwari.
Tendai Mwari family, thank you for watching this video. To watch the entire Blueprint for Black Power Groundation and Nana Amos Wilson Veneration, simply click the link in the video description. The full video contains the keynote addresses from Brother Leader Mbandaka, Is Africa Really Rising?, Dissecting the Propaganda, an in-depth analysis of the mainstream Africa Rising narrative and its implications for the African world, and also the dynamic workshop from Queen TAESE, Educating Our Children. The power is in the activation. This is a practical workshop on how you can develop powerful and effective home and community education systems where you are right now. The full stream is housed on abibitomitv.com. Abibitomi TV is an online portal specializing in powerful Black African-centered visual content. So check it out, support the thing, and enjoy the full Blueprint for Black Power Groundation and Nana Amos Wilson Veneration. Abibi Fahodie.